The opinions expressed on the radio program by the hosts, co-hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions and responsibility of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Genesis Radio, www.genesisradio.com, Genesis Radio's owners, management, or affiliates. The opinions expressed on the radio program by the hosts, co-hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions and responsibility of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Genesis Radio, www.genesisradio.com, Genesis Radio's owners, management, or affiliates.
We on a sistership. Come with us, we on a sistership. Yeah, we on a sistership. Roll with us, we on a sistership.
Sistership, we got this now. Come on, let's talk about it. Sistership, we got this now. Come on, let's talk about it. Sistership, we got this now. Come on, let's talk about it. Sistership, we got this now. Come on, let's talk about it.
We're my sisters, we got this, sisters. You roll with me and I'll roll with ya. We're my sisters, we got this, sisters. You roll with me and I'll roll with ya.
Substance, sis, you know we on a mission, no games. Help each other get over some things, build strength, bring change. Cause we've been through the rain, now it's time to shine like bling. Let's talk about life skills. We building up our quality to right wills. We rolling out of poverty, love heals. So we become the prodigy of how a sistership could be a really hot commodity. Stand together, we united, hold hands. Support each other dreams and our plans, doing everything we can. Just to show we understand the power of a friendship fam. Live life on purpose, together we learn it. Yeah, let's talk, we don't wanna see you hurting. We here for each other, no matter the color, networking. That's for sure and for certain. Come on, yeah, we on a sistership. Come with us, we on a sistership. Yeah, we on a sistership. Roll with us, we on a sistership.
We're my sisters, we got this, sisters. You roll with me and I'll roll with ya. We're my sisters, we got this, sisters. You roll with me and I'll roll with ya.
Sistership, we got this now. Come on, let's talk about it. Sistership, we got this now. Come on, let's talk about it. Sistership, we got this now. Come on, let's talk about it. Sistership, we got this now. Come on, let's talk about it.
Welcome to the Sistahship Talk Show. I'm your host for today, Mama C. See, I almost forgot what my name was. You know, I
We
get
would-
mixed
we
up.
would- We would have helped you.
Yeah, we between Mama C and Deborah Kofor, sometimes I'm not quite sure which one it is, But we want to send a shout out to Tiffany Rowe, who is under the weather today, and she was supposed to be here, and also to Jane Gagliardo, who is manning the domestic violence hotline, and there was an emergency which required her to be there, so she couldn't be here with us today also, even though she was scheduled. So we want to thank them for all the love they provide and for everything that, we are, because they're part of who we are, and we love you guys dearly.
And their contribution to society.
And your contributions to society to make this world a better place for all of us, because I have a saying, when one is broken, none are fixed. So again, welcome to all of you who have tuned in and joined us today. We're going to talk about maybe a myriad of issues, but we're going to begin with our dialogue on COVID. And we have Marcy Rabinowitz with us and Queenager Hillary Evans with us. So these are members of our Queenager Advisory Council, and we all work together. We share information about what we're doing, and we're just so glad that we are able to participate in a way that makes life better for all of us. So, ladies, thank you for being here.
It was a gift when I
Anytime.
met you, and the knowledge that I've learned from you, I use it all the time.
Oh, wonderful. And
Same here.
And I think that's reciprocal, because, we realize that because we are women of a certain age doesn't mean we know everything. And so we share on many different levels, and the diversity of our advisory group is so wonderful, because you know what, there are things that I may know that you may not know, that you know that I may not know, but we are open to
still
sharing it.
learning.
And we're still learning and growing, and becoming is a lifelong process. It doesn't end until you take your last breath. Then you go on to become something else, whatever that might be.
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
absolutely. We wanted to start talking about the COVID-19 pandemic and how it has affected the lives of people in ways that are rarely talked about. We keep talking about lack of money and the checks, what's that check that's everybody's trying to wait
stimulus,
for? The stimulus
which we're
check,
not getting.
Which we're not getting it.
No.
Oh, okay. So
I don't think so.
That's a dead issue.
They're going to vote this week, but I don't think the personal checks we won't be getting.
But are we getting any kind of checks?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. All right. So that does affect our population as a whole, because if people are unable to sustain themselves and their families, that's a chaotic situation in the making, I think.
Many families have been fortunate enough that school districts are actually providing lunches and breakfasts and meals for them. And the school districts have purposely been advertising to come and get it. You don't have to have paid for lunch. You don't have to be a free lunch person. Just come and pick up the food for your family and for yourselves. And several of the districts in Monroe County have also made it that if you don't have a vehicle, or if you don't have the means by which to go and pick up the meals, they're actually having people deliver them to homes.
Wow.
But this morning I heard was over 8 million people are on the poverty line.
Yeah.
But before this COVID, there was poverty.
Yep.
But this seems to have
This
brought it to a
completely
whole new level.
Oh, absolutely.
Exacerbated it to where people who
Yes.
didn't think that they knew about hunger or medical needs, or being able to go, simple as go get your hair cut.
Right.
Now, when you used to see commercials of, older people deciding whether they were going to buy food or buy
their
medication,
medicine.
now that's impacting regardless of your age.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And how do you have to tell your children, sorry, like you've seen the commercials on TV, we have enough money to just buy the basics, but not a chocolate cake for your birthday.
Yeah, and that's so sad. And I kind of call this the plandemic, more than a pandemic, because it has now moved many people in the middle income bracket down to the lower income bracket and into the poverty level.
Yes.
And that's not a good thing. So now you got the 1%, they doing fine because they got the money and they know they're still generating income for themselves.
Off of other people.
Off of other people, exactly. So, I really believe that, many of the situations we are encountering now were planned to a certain extent, because once that middle income population was growing,
Yes.
it was growing
Before.
exponentially, and now they've been dropped back down to the low income and poverty level, and are struggling to figure out how to make it, because life as usual as we once knew it doesn't exist anymore.
People who took pride in a job, being able to have purpose every day, get
Right.
up, go to work, bring home a paycheck, be able to provide for yourselves, necessities, and sometimes even maybe something a little bit nice. Now there's no purpose.
There's no purpose, and people, the mental health of people, in particular our children, are beginning to be severely affected by a lifestyle that they are too young to comprehend and understand why things have changed so drastically,
Right now, kids are in school 2 days a week.
Barely.
Right.
Now it looks like they're going to be out of school the whole week now because
yeah?
of this. Yeah,
Well,
they're
what
talking
if-
about closing down all the schools.
Really?
Wow.
And the Stroudsburg School
I know
District-
Wilkes-Barre already did. They closed
Yeah.
all their schools down.
The Stroudsburg School District
Yeah.
just put out a phone message to all of the parents that they're looking to go back 4 full days a week, here in the county.
I think Wilkes-Barre and Scranton closed their school districts as of Friday.
Wow.
And some of the districts have policies now where they're not going to publicize who may or may not have been affected by COVID, whether or not their test came back positive or not. So you could possibly be sending your children to school
Exactly.
and not know. I know in one of the districts here, there was a teacher who tested positive, acknowledged that she tested positive, stayed home for the 14 days, but her children were going to school.
Yeah. So, what
However, you can't live in a black hole.
you really can't. You really can't.
And that's what you said the planning is all about. Do you plan for doom and gloom, or do you plan to try to embrace whatever there is, a positivity that you could possibly foresee?
Right.
The children need socialization,
Absolutely.
and we need them out of the house.
Tell me about it. Tell me about it. And you know what? We, with my grandchildren, we're kind of promoting living life as opposed to being hibernating and feeling afraid to even go outside. And some of the other parents who are part of our circle, they're feeling the same way. So we arrange for socialization time for the kids.
Play dates.
And we're allowing them to do things that make them feel better, and I think that technology has come into play. I hear my youngest granddaughter, she and some of her friends they get on their phones and their tablets and they play little games together, and they're staying connected and having fun. Sometimes I hear my granddaughter laughing so hard, and that makes me feel good.
But okay, winter's coming. Usually people are depressed during the winter time. And with this pandemic going on now, it's going to even make it worse.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, people are deciding whether or not, like they're planning now for the winter. I know I have my freezer stocked, in preparation for the winter. And then I'm saying, well, but if I don't go out because I have it all, already in the freezers, where am I going to see any human beings?
Right, exactly. And what's the point in being human if you can't have human connections, human relationships?
But just to go out in a car and just drive.
See the world.
Yeah. I mean, especially now with the trees turning colors.
Oh, it's beautiful.
This is time to get out and just drive. Just drive. You don't have to have a destination.
Right. Just get out.
Just get out and get some fresh air.
Absolutely.
You know, that
Absolutely.
would help a lot of people.
I think we need to shift gears and do a lane switch with respect to how we operate now. And rather than taking an "oh, woe is me" kind of attitude about what's going on, I think that one of the great things, and we were talking about this before we came on air, one of the great things about aging that I really love is the wisdom that comes with aging and the perspective. We're able to put things in perspective, wherein when we were younger, everything was catastrophic. Everything, we saw, everything we saw in a whole different, from a whole different viewpoint. And often that viewpoint wasn't logical. We were just spontaneously moving and trying to live our lives based on what we had in our own minds, our own, I think when we were younger, we spent a lot of time in La La Land. We have this vision.
It's a myopic vision.
Yeah.
I know when I was 18,
Yeah.
I thought that I knew it all.
Oh, absolutely. I think every 18-year-old does. Yeah.
But
Just ask them,
along
they'll
the
tell
way,
you.
have learned a lot.
Oh, absolutely. Along the way, we get drips and drabs of gemstones and jewels of wisdom that we can put into our treasure chest of life in order to come back and use those gemstones and those jewels of wisdom and apply them to our lives as needed, whenever needed.
And try to pass them on to the generations behind us.
Absolutely.
Right. And again, 18-year-olds know everything there is. Having done foster care for over 35 years, quite often we have children who, okay, I'm 18, I'm signing myself out. Okay, you got a plan?
No.
Yeah, I got a boyfriend. You're going to take care of me.
Really?
Okay.
Good luck with that.
Right, exactly. Really, let me know how long that lasts or what's going to happen after he's tired of taking care of you. And, now at least in the foster care industry, people are looking more to stay, or the children at least are looking more to stay past 18 because they don't have a solid plan, or they've heard from other 18-year-olds who are peers of theirs who've gone off, to do their own thing, and it didn't work out successfully. What we need to, in that aspect, what we need to find are places for the kids who are between 18 and 21 to be able to be provided those independent living skills.
Absolutely.
We got them, in the School of Hard Knocks.
Yeah, tell me about it. The School of Hard Knocks is tough,
When I was growing up, 18, but I always had friends that were way older than me.
Yeah,
so
I
I
did
learned
too.
from my older friends.
So
So I could plan because I left home. I had a good home, but I just wanted to be on my own.
Sure.
So I left home when I was 18. I never looked back. But I had a plan because, like I said, all my friends were older than me. They had jobs and whatever, and so I learned from them.
Right.
But these kids these days, they're 18 and they think they know it all. They don't want to listen to anybody else.
Exactly.
But you have to let kids make their own decision.
Absolutely.
Well, our children, our philosophy in my house is they're allowed to, like swim, and they're allowed to go down once or twice, and I'll let you go down once or twice, but I'm not
Yeah.
going to let you drown.
Right.
But again, when you give advice to children, or you give advice to anybody in this generation of technology that we didn't have,
Right.
right, they're very stubborn about so many different things. The flip side of that is being able to look at things from their perspective also.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So when they present ideas that they have, we have to let them completely explain what it is, what their plan and what their thought process is,
Right.
and then see if it's applicable now, not in our older heads, because their thinking is definitely not applicable, because I can't relate to a lot of it.
Right. And I agree with you. I think that, we have to let them go. I think, and Hillary and I was talking about that in the car on the way here, that once they reach that 18, 19-year-old numbers, it's important that we create a happy, stable, sturdy home environment for them so that while they're out there bumping their heads and getting knocked around with reality,
They still can come home.
they still know that they have a home, a loving home to come back to, not one where they're being admonished because of their desire to go out and spread their wings, but rather, I think being able to provide a loving, stable home for kids, particularly at that age, is very important because they don't need or want the mothering anymore. So when they don't want the parenting, then what is it that we can give them that they can benefit from right now? And I think love and support
And respect.
and respect for them, because we've all been there, done that. And I know I didn't come from a loving, caring, supportive home. When I got out of my parents' home, I was 21 and I was pregnant with my daughter. And because the home was so dysfunctional, I didn't want my daughter to become a victim of that. That's why I moved out. And so I have had more encounters that I want to remember, with hard knocks and trials and tribulations and all those things that are part of the aging process. And it wasn't easy. If you have a loving, caring, stable home, until you have a rock solid plan that you can move out with
And build on.
and that's the key. You got to create a strong foundation to build on, and you can't do that without some kind of plan.
But see, 18-year-olds, okay, they're 18, yes, but at some point they still need their parent to do certain things.
Yeah,
They're not adults yet,
right,
but they still need their parents to intervene in some things.
in some things, exactly.
So,
But I think that they will
but
often
you have
tell
to
us.
let them know, look, I'm here for you.
Mm-hmm.
Let them do their own thing. Get all that stuff out of their system first.
But
Exactly.
in these past, like 7 or 8 months during this whole COVID thing, the 18-year-olds are not being hired for jobs because there are adults who need those jobs. And the thing is that the jobs are geared towards, young people.
Right.
And it's almost humiliating or debasing of somebody's ideology of themselves when, you're doing the job that your kid was just doing. They were fired or whatever, and, you're doing it. And 18-year-olds, although there are many, many of our children who want to contribute. They want to contribute spiritually, emotionally, financially, to be able to again, build on their own foundations.
Right.
There's nothing for them during COVID to be able to go and do. And so that's also taking away from their own their sense of purpose.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And, they're looking to the parents to be able to provide them with that some type of guidance and direction. The stability, we can offer. But if you don't have the finances to be able to back up that stability, the kid looks at you and says, okay, not what are you going to do for me now, but where are we all going?
Exactly. I think kids are in a very
Resilient.
they're very resilient, and even more resilient than a lot of us realize. But in that resilience, there is a certain amount of weakness as well, and they, at 18, 19, 20, they don't want to say that they are afraid or that they don't know or whatever. They see that as a form of weakness to say that I need or to reach out. But that's really a form of strength when children feel that they can come to their parents and share whatever it is they need to share.
And vice versa.
And vice versa, and feel supported in the process, because unfortunately a lot of kids don't have that level of support in their homes. And I think that as particularly now during this period of COVID is very difficult for kids who are segueing from adolescence into a young adulthood.
But like Larry said, if there's no school and there's no colleges and everything is virtual, then the purpose is also taken right out from under them as blossoming, responsible, contributing to society, teens, adolescents, and to adults.
Right.
You don't have to get up in the morning because you don't have to go on school. And that's really a problem. Most of the kids that are doing virtual schools, they don't have to get on until noon.
Yeah. And then they get on in their jammies.
Right.
Like my sister called me on Friday, and she happened to check on one of the kids. Supposed to be doing virtual school,
Yeah.
but she's on her cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
They can do both. It's amazing.
She's on her cell phone.
I
So
have-
now what she does, everybody have to leave their cell phones on the dining room table.
While they do their schoolwork.
Yeah, but the schoolwork isn't demanding. That's the other problem.
That's it. It's not everybody who has internet at home.
Correct. And that's how it's impact. Like I said, this is where the COVID.
It was bad enough kids were failing to begin with. Now with this, what's going to happen to the kids?
When my son was explaining to me, he goes to school 2 days a week in person, and 2 days a week are review. So I made him go on because I didn't understand that it was review. So I spoke directly to a teacher, and she said he really doesn't have to come on the other 2 days because we're just going over the work we did the first 2 days.
The first 2 days.
So wait a minute.
So-
Where are his assignments? What are they supposed
Yeah,
to?
Exactly. The whole scope of education has changed, and the things that they would learn through socialization
Correct.
have now been
Stripped.
taken
Put on the
stripped
back
from
burner.
them as on the back burner. Exactly. So I was reading an article on the internet a couple of weeks ago where it was saying that a lot of kids are developing emotional problems.
Stress.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're stressed out because of this, because they don't know how to navigate through this whole sudden change that's happened. And so, they feel lost. They feel lost.
It's not
Yeah.
only the kids,
the parents are also
Oh,
depressed.
yeah, the parents too.
I
the
mean,
parents also.
Yeah,
And
because you have small kids at home. You're working with your laptop, then you have to pick up a kid, hold him on your lap, and then another kid. It's so much confusion going on in the household now. So,
And I think adults are having just as difficult a time
Emotional
adjusting as well. And I think the generation under us, along with the generation that's under them, have not developed the caliber of coping skills that we have, because it was a totally different time when we were 18 and 19
but
years old.
exactly.
this was not presented with any type of coping or with any kind of mechanism to work with it. This was, they went to school, and then all of a sudden Friday they were told, clean out your lockers.
That's it.
Right. The teachers, the same thing. Employees, the same thing. People who went to work every day were told, we can't manage. Now you have major factories and major warehouses that are in fact operating because they now have had time to be able to develop a safer, not 100%,
Safer
but a safer
protocols.
protocol for all kinds of hygiene controls and things like that. And they're doing that. And there's a lot more available to us now than there was 8 months ago. But 8 months ago, I think not only the United States, but I think the entire world was completely, abruptly, just thrown apart,
Kind of sort of came to a halt, a screeching halt.
screeching
Yes.
halt.
And I think that, now when they're talking about it flaring up again and certain areas are starting to be shut down all over again, it's like, when is this going to end? And how do we make the shift in a way that we are able to maintain our sanity and help our children to maintain theirs? I think, in my household, my daughter and I think we have created a pretty stable sense of being for the kids, and we don't fill them with fear or make them feel as though they're in the house for the rest of their lives. We allow them to have certain socialization opportunities, and we're just cautious, and we make them cautious about what they need to do when they're out and about in larger crowds, and they're not in real large crowds, but wear your mask. They have their own little personal hand sanitizer.
Yes.
But we don't want them to come out of this feeling afraid and unable and incapable of operating at the adult level, because they're all going to get to that point at some point.
Right.
Also, you have to sit down and explain to your kids what's going on
Right.
as best as you can,
Right.
because there's a lot of people just don't talk to their kids.
Right. Right.
So
And I think you have to be, one of the things we encourage the kids in our home to do is to think for themselves. You know, don't be afraid to think for yourselves, because you know what? The answers we all need are within us.
Right, or ask questions.
Yeah,
Don't be
and-
afraid to ask.
And don't be afraid to ask questions, you know, and just continue to feel good about yourself, because at some point this is going to come to an end, you know. It's not going to last forever. But when it does come to an end and everybody can begin to live life, I don't know if I want to say as normal, because
It's
I don't think
not.
life was normal then.
And
It's a new normal.
It's a
It's a
new
new
normal,
normal.
but you know, what does that new normal look like? I think a lot of people are asking that question. Well, what does the new normal look like? And
You have no answers for that.
And there are no answers to that. It's a day by day process of recognizing where we are and what our capabilities are at this time, at this moment. One of the love lessons I put up, they talked about, you know, a lot of times people live in the future. They're dreaming about what can be, but they're not preparing right now for what can be. They've lost touch with the here and the now, and they're somewhere in the future, and not realizing that the life you create for yourself now will determine the outcomes of your future.
but you know, this has slowed us down now to stop and think.
I think so, Hillary.
It has slowed everyone down.
Yeah. And maybe that's a good thing, because I
Yes.
think sometimes things and people can just go so fast
Yep.
that a lot of people get lost in the sauce, as the saying goes. And so in the process, I think that this has given us all time to think about, well, where are we going? And particularly the adults. The children may be too young to think on that level, because the human mind doesn't really mature to age 25. So they may not have these. they
Only
don't
in
have-
women.
Only the women. If the men is longer.
Way
It's about
longer.
40.
Way longer.
Where-
Way longer.
Hey, you heard it from a Queenager.
I have
and it's
10
true.
children. My daughters are way beyond my sons.
Yeah.
My daughter-in-law, absolutely.
All of them. Yeah, and it's true. I think, you know, in my first book, I said, God made man, and he said, it is good. But then he said, oops, but I forgot some stuff. Then he created woman and gave woman everything he forgot to put in man, didn't put in man. And so then we got stuck with man. So, you know, helping them to navigate becomes a charge that we have. But you know what? Unfortunately, a lot of men get to a certain point in their life, they don't want to listen. They don't want to listen to the women. But I find that men who listen to women who are of sound mind, and these days not a lot of women are of sound mind, a good number are, but there are those who aren't. I think when you have women in your life who are intelligent, who love you, who want to see the best for themselves in you,
Supportive.
yeah, are supportive and all of that, I think the best thing any man can do is to listen, because sometimes we do know what we're talking about.
But a collaboration in a relationship is what's really, really important. Listen,
Yes.
hear, decide, then negotiate and come up with something that will
up
satisfy
with a plan.
Come up
both
with a
of you.
plan.
Come up with a plan, but it'll satisfy both
Both
parties.
parties.
Absolutely. because-
Absolutely. I'm fortunate, very, very fortunate to have exactly that.
I do too.
Yeah, you both do it. I'm still. I'm not gonna say I'm looking, but
You're
I'm
waiting for it.
I'm waiting for the right
Absolutely.
moment and
Yeah.
the right person. And you know what? I always say, I'd rather spend one day with the right person than a
Time
lifetime
with
with
the
the
wrong
wrong
person.
person. Because I'm not, I've gotten to a point in my life where I decided I'm going to have I'm going to live with peace of mind, and peace of mind produces happiness. You can't have permanent happiness if your mind is all screwed up with a lot of chaos and calamity and confusion and just unsupportive relationships.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, I'm like it's like really, very, very fortunate to have, we discuss things, and if my husband feels very, very strongly about something that I am less strong about, I'll go in that direction. And he also has given me that respect that if I feel really strong about something and he's sort of wavering about it, or at least has enough faith in me that, okay, we'll do it your way.
I do
Right.
the
Kind of
same
thing.
thing too. I may come up with an idea and I'll say, "Hun, what do you think about this idea, or whatever?"
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I kind of try to foresee things that's going to happen before they happen, and so
Right.
when I lay them out, and then he'll look at it and say, "Oh, well, can we do it this way or that way?"
Yeah.
And like you
And-
said, this COVID has
Yeah.
impacted on can we
Yeah.
do it this way? And the new question is, should
We
we
do
do
it
it
this way.
yeah.
or should we do it at all?
Yeah,
Or can
yeah.
we put something off?
Yeah.
When you keep talking about this is going to end, this generation is continuing to ask, when
When?
is this going
Yes.
to end?
Yeah, yeah.
And when kids look to their parents for answers and we don't have answers, I don't know whether it makes us feel less successful or makes us feel like a failure or makes us feel guilty. But if you don't have the answers to be able to provide your children and our grandchildren, future generations, where do we go for things like that?
Yeah. You know,
We were talking about it this morning. My husband says he was talking about Christmas gifts for the grandkids, and he turned to me and he says, "Hill, you think we'd be able to do, get this, get that?" I says, "I don't think so."
yeah. This is a
I
different.
said, "This
yeah.
is different times now.
Right,
We kind of
right.
have to slow it down and just see."
Bide
you
your
know,
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, the impact that these 8 months have made on everyone's finances.
Is unbelievable.
But in the middle class, there is no middle class
There is no
anymore.
Not
middle
anymore.
class
Not
anymore.
anymore.
And I think that was one of the purposes. I really believe that was one of the purposes of allowing this pandemic to get as bad as it has become. Because now you have more worker bees than, to help that 1% maintain their
Status.
1% status. So now you got all these worker bees and not people who are in the middle class who are catching up with the 1% and moving into the 1%, thus causing it to become the 10% or the 15% as opposed to the 1%. There's just so much craziness and things that we haven't looked at with respect to what has happened and what is continuing to happen with regard to the middle income population in particular. And watching this whole dynamic is kind of sad. It really
And
is.
scary.
And scary, exactly.
Very scary.
We spend every day time trying to figure out, okay, what can we do today? What is feasible? What do we have? Do we have enough funds to do this or that? And we're only doing the necessity, the basics.
Right, what has to be done.
And I thank God we can keep our heads afloat with respect to the basics, and that's getting a little tenuous at this particular point.
You have to, like Hillary said, you have to question. I mean, the holidays aren't for another few months.
Right.
But we're asking ourselves, are we going to be able to celebrate the holidays? So now if you can't buy things, you come up with a different type of celebration.
Absolutely.
Which brings us to our inner humanity and
Absolutely.
things like that. There's new rituals that families have begun to develop.
Yeah.
And if you can find a new family ritual to do, I mean, this time of the year people are going to, the pumpkin patches and corn mazes and things like that,
Right.
and introducing the kids to real spiritual, emotional
Outdoor
type
fun-
things,
outdoor
outdoor
fun.
fun.
Yeah, yeah,
Outdoor
exactly,
fun.
exactly.
And to be able to, like you said, take away the technology,
Yeah.
like touch the cornfield, like really, that's really where corn that you buy in the store in the frozen bags comes from.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And the apples, go apple picking,
Picking.
Right.
and try to do things like that. We found that different counties, depending on their agriculture and things that are available, are able to provide for at least somebody to say, okay, we're going to try that as a family.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people are doing, especially going to the pumpkin patch. They have rides,
Right.
and they have quite a bit of a fun
Activities.
stuff for the
Yeah.
kids. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
You know.
and it doesn't cost that much.
Yeah, and I think that that's what
That's
we
what they're
have
going to
to.
have to do.
That's what we're gonna have to do. We're gonna
Yeah.
have to figure out other means of keeping our families together and happy to a certain extent. And I think
Even the movie houses, they're talking about closing them down.
Oh yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
maybe the kids could go to the mall and go to the movies. Soon that won't be happening.
Well, by you they got them all.
hello. I mean, it's from county to county, place to place. The options are different.
Yeah.
So you have to figure out what are the options other than what we've been doing. What do we want our new normal to look like? I think that that's up to us. You know what I'm saying? It's not up to allowing other people to dictate
Dictate us,
or
yeah.
create what our new normal
Is
is
for our
We have
going
to
to be.
create our own fun.
We have to create exactly, and we have to make connections with one another that are built on a foundation of love
An experience.
and experience and just caring and concern, helping each other. I think now more than ever it's important for us as members of the human family to come up with those ideas. We got to use our brain.
When I was growing up, you could go outside and have fun. You played Skelly and all those games. You had fun.
Red light, green light, 1, 2, 3.
You invented a lot of games.
Yeah,
This is what we're probably going to have to go back to doing.
absolutely.
That's if you can get the kids off the technology.
Yeah, but that's just it. You can't seem to get them away from the
No.
technology because this is their way of life
Correct.
at
And
this
their
point.
way of coping.
And their way of coping.
Right.
And I think
Yeah.
that, to a large extent, we have to allow the kids to lead us with respect to how they cope with what's going on right now. I mean, we could set certain limitations for them, but I think that we have to be a little bit more lenient at this particular point so that they're not battling the issue of COVID and then battling the issue of what parents think they should be doing as opposed to what they are doing in their time, in their way, rather than ours. Because the things that we did when we were much younger, when we were kids, they don't do them. That's not what kids do anymore.
No.
That's true.
So we have to respect what they do now, how they have fun. Like I said, I'll go back. My youngest granddaughter, I hear her laughing. I hear her filled with laughter and joy because she and her friends have developed a way of
Coping.
coping, and they play little games
They can't
together.
They can't be together in person, but they can be together.
through
with the-
technology.
Yes.
And so they're able to visually see each other. They're able to laugh and create games and opportunities for them to enjoy now. So I think it's up to us as parents to recognize that this is their new norm. They're creating a new normal for themselves.
And-
While we're thinking that, we've got to take the lead. No, sometimes children can lead us. And we just have to pay attention and not think that we know everything.
That's a
some
perspective issue.
Yeah, it's a perspective issue. Exactly. I totally agree.
Yeah, and I was out with my 10-year-old granddaughter 2 weeks ago to the grocery store, And she was so excited. She actually recognized one of her schoolmates, in between the mask and everything like that. And all she wanted to do was run over and give her a hug.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was the whole thing. She said she's going to have a hard time going back to school not hugging people.
Not hugging people. You know what? One of the most important parts of being human
tactile.
is hugging,
Right.
is connecting
Touch.
physically.
Touch.
Because if we are human, part of the human experience is to be able to touch one another, to hug, to feel that caliber of energy coming from one another. And I love that. I love hugging. I love loving people. That's who I am, and I will always stay true to who I am. Not everybody, you don't want to hug everybody because some people are just too toxic to even get that close
Consider,
to. Yeah. So, I mean, I throw them a kiss from a distance, but stay my distance. And, we just got to recognize that we have to watch our children right now because they will find a way to cope if they don't have to battle against us with trying to get them to cope the way we think they should cope. Kids, again, are very resilient.
Oh, yeah.
And they come up with all of these additional ideas and things. And my 15-year-old granddaughter, she'll be 16 tomorrow. She is, when it comes to technology, we call her our technical director for the Sistahship. Because whenever we need something, like, Tiara, how do you do blah, blah. We'll go, Tiara, sometimes she's all the way up in the loft and we'll dial her and say, Tiara, come, we need your help.
Yes.
And she'll come. And, I think making your children feel needed at this particular point, too, is good.
Yeah.
So, especially around her age, because around 15, 16.
They're still trying to navigate.
They want to navigate in a different way, but because they can't do that now. But the one good thing about Tiara is that she's pretty much a homebody. And she's very close to her mother and I. And so she loves being able to help us whenever we need help with technology, things that we don't know. Now, my daughter knows a lot. Me, I'm marginal. I'll admit it. My daughter knows. And in order to be on target with this new growth, this new technological growth, we have to learn. But step by step, bit by bit.
They enjoy making fun of us.
And they enjoy making fun of us.
Yeah.
Yes, they do. Like, Grandma, really? And I just I said, look, okay, technology is your era. And anything, writing is mine. They'll come to me, they'll write something and say, Grandma, look at this. So, I like to stay in my lane. Writing, I write like a pro because I am a pro when it comes to writing. So, I can help you with the things I know, but by the same token, you're helping me with the things you know. That creates a level of balance that I think is very important in homes. Make your children feel important. Find things that they can do to help us, because when they realize that there are things that they know that we don't know, that
makes them feel good.
Makes them feel good. They get so tickled out of that, And my grandchildren are always laughing at me.
Like I said, they enjoy making fun of us.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
But they don't know that we have a level of wisdom that they'll never have as long as we're alive, because they'll never be the same age we are while we're alive.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And like I said, these 8 months and probably the next
8 months,
8 months
or more,
plus some, are really going to tax all of our generation.
Everybody.
Right, each of them to come up with something. And then how does this current generation explain to the next generation what happened now? It was an accident, and then it wasn't handled well. So people are always looking to also be able to find accountability and responsibility. So then that next generation is going to say, well, who was responsible for all of this?
For all of this, exactly. And how do we prevent something like this from becoming so catastrophic again?
Worldwide.
Worldwide, exactly.
With this, we have moved away from humanity.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree with you too. Yeah.
Has brought out the worst in a lot of people.
Yes, it has. And you know what? That's why I stay in my house most of the time.
Yeah.
And I have
The
a very
safety.
select circle of people in my life, and you two
You know
are two of them. But I keep a distance from a lot of people because
In a way, I'm kind of a homebody ever since I retired, and I'm glad I stay at home a lot.
yeah, me too. You know, because you watch people in action, and you know, because I have an empathic personality, I can feel the negative energy from people. I can see it. I mean, I can go to the grocery store and I can watch how people are interacting.
Or
And
right.
it's like
Yeah.
they act like they're scared to be around you. Where was I?
I can pretty much read people by
Yeah.
looking at them.
Absolutely, because we are energy up underneath these bodies, and that energy projects, and people don't realize that their energy projects who they are, what they're about, you know, whether or not they are healthy beings enough to be
Approached.
yeah, approached, exactly. You know, so I mean, I think that's a gift of aging. Once you reach, and particularly once you reach that 60 number, it's like all of your senses just heighten, and you become so much more aware and conscious of what's going on around you, and even with other people, family members, etc. You know, so.
You know how we Queenagers get.
Oh yeah, you getting a
Cold,
little
yeah.
chilly.
Yeah.
Do your thing, do you, girl? You know, yeah. And I started to bring mine, and I forgot, but I figured I'd be okay. But you know what?
There
We
is
will-
heat we can turn on because I know we turned it off.
Oh,
fine,
okay.
it's fine.
She's good. Yeah. But you know what? I think that this is a dialogue that people need to have in their own homes. You know, and understanding the who, what, when, where, why, and how to's of the here and the now. You know, we have to cope well now in order to get to a better place later. Because if everyone loses their mind now, oh my God, what is later going to really look like?
Well, you know, being homebodies, you know, and having children and grandchildren in your home, you know, that's also difficult. You know, I mean, being retired and spending time enjoying reading books, watching TV, listening to music, and things like that. It's not that I don't want to do, you know, other things. You have to be so cautious about doing
About
other
what
things.
you do.
And I'm satisfied with taking a walk. You know, this generation isn't going to be satisfied. They're not going to find any type of contentment in taking a walk. And, you know, we'll go to a, you know, right, you'll look up in the sky and you'll look up and you'll see all the colors on the trees. And you'll go for a ride and you make the kids come with you. And they said, okay, good, we've already done that. Now what?
Now what?
Now what?
Exactly. Yeah. I think the kids.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Are we there yet?
Right.
Yeah.
They're dying to get back home.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, and then they begin to get bored and become a little bit annoying because
Yes.
they don't want to do what it is we want them to do, or think is going to expand their ability to.
Or the technology sucks them in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think most kids, the technology has totally sucked them in.
Absolutely. I mean, certainly if they're doing, like I said, the virtual school is technology.
Right.
And they have the ability to be able to turn off the camera. The teachers don't have to see them.
Right.
The teachers are explaining that they don't have to be one-on-one engaged in whatever's going on.
Right.
And like I said, my own son says to me, I don't have to go on the other 2 days. They're just reviewing everything.
Right. So they get 2 days of school now as opposed to 5.
Yes.
So how
And
how
you-
much schooling are they actually getting?
It's how much education. And
Yeah.
and then if you now have a generation that is not being taught. What's going to happen in the next?
Next generation.
Exactly.
It's going to be scary, and I think that looking forward, I'm very glad that I have less life ahead than I've already lived.
You know,
Because God only knows what that's going to look like, and it could be mighty scary.
Yep.
Because a lot of these kids are not going to take the crap, you know, that's going on right now. They're angry. They're angry about almost everything that's going on right
There was
now.
a therapist on some show last week, and
Uh-huh.
she was saying that so many kids are depressed, suicidal.
Right.
I mean, she just went on and on and on. Before this,
Mm-hmm.
and now add this to it, it's a whole
done
generation
pushed
gonna be
It pushed them over the cliff.
And
Yeah.
even therapy is being done virtually.
Yeah,
You know?
therapy is being done virtually.
And the therapist can't see the body
language.
Right.
can just barely hear the nuances in their tone of voice.
Yes.
You can't see their eyes. You can't see, are they
Their hand movements.
Right.
Right. So the thing is that so therapy online is almost non-applicable to be able to cause a positive effect.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's what's becoming a problem. I know I participated in a in a whole they ask questions all about what do you think about telehealth.
Telehealth.
That's what telehealth
Yeah.
is what you do online.
Right,
I
right.
mean, I can appreciate if you've got a rash and you can show the doctor the rash as long as you have a good camera in whatever
Yeah.
it is.
Right.
I can appreciate if
It's
you
not the same thing as actually standing in front of the doctor and saying,
right.
because then
Can
you
you
can
feel
say,
this?
well, this looks like so and so.
Right, but the
But-
thing is that with the mental health,
That's a whole different ball game.
they're doing it by phone, they're doing it by Zoom, they're doing it by Google Duo, they're doing it by whatever. And you're right, you don't see the kids sitting there or the
Their
or the
hand, yeah.
client
Exactly.
wringing their
Right.
hands. You don't see them tearing off their cuticles. You don't see whether or not they're smirking because when you're speaking to someone on a laptop
see
or on a
is their-
phone, you're literally able to limit what you're exposing.
Absolutely, absolutely. And for those of you who are watching and listening today, we will begin to take calls in about 5 minutes. If you have any questions or comments, you can contact us at 888-304-4401. Again, that's 888-304-4401. We love to hear your comments, your questions, and just your general thoughts about what's happening in the world, but in particular, right here in the country we're living in. You know, we have an election coming up on November 3rd, and there's a lot of craziness going on, contentious stuff going on relative to that. You know, we have a Supreme Court justice who's going through the process. Supreme Court, right?
Yes.
Yeah, justice who's going through this whole
They're supposed
process.
to vote on it.
Yeah, when is
this
that?
week,
Yeah.
22nd.
So there's a lot of change that's taking place that I think there are those particular elements in politics who really don't care how it's infecting and thus affecting our lives as a whole, as Americans, period.
It's stressing a lot of people out.
It is stressing the craziness between
Craziness.
the Democratic and the Republican parties. It's just unbelievable. Some of the wild things that are being said, particularly in the political arena of the Republican Party. There's just a whole lot of craziness. And so I think that craziness is lending itself to the other craziness that other people are beginning to exhibit now. So, I mean, if they can be crazy at that level, why can't we be crazy at this level?
Exactly.
So there's a lot of stuff going on right now that makes no sense, and that is really taking people into the deep end or into the dark mode of thought and being.
Right.
And so we need to take a look at all of these factors and understand how it's impacting on us.
But our perspective at our age is still different
Oh, absolutely.
than the last one. The thing is that you have to decide whether or not you're going to let it impact on you or not.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And
You know?
from life's experience, you know what happens when you let something. The problem is that because of the stress that we're all victims of, sometimes we're unable to stop it from impacting on us.
Absolutely. You're right, Marcy. I agree with you.
You know, no matter what our backgrounds are, no matter what our levels of education, our own experience, our own mental health and emotional strength, sometimes all of that that's swirling around us is stronger than we are.
Yeah, that's true. And it's stronger than a lot of people.
Yeah.
But like you said, and I agree, you know, I decided I was not going to let all of this negatively infect my life and affect how I respond in my household and with people I truly care about, or with people in general. You know, you have to ask yourself, do you allow external factors to negatively impact on who we are?
But sometimes it's beyond your control. So to be able to question yourself, are you allowing it? It's not a matter of you're not allowing it. You have no understanding or appreciation of its impact now.
Right,
You're
right.
able to look back and to see how you acted, 3 months ago, 6 months ago, when this just happened.
Right.
But you weren't at that moment in time able to foresee or at that that here and now
Yeah.
figured out because okay.
Hold on, we have a caller. Hold
Go
on.
ahead, darling.
Hello, this is Mama C. Who's calling?
Kalima.
Hi, Kalima. How are you?
Hi, Mama C. I am wonderful.
Wonderful. Are you back up in the Poconos, or are you still off and out and about in another state?
No, I'm back and I'm happy and I'm healthy.
Oh, wonderful. All right.
Action.
Wonderful. What are your thoughts on this whole COVID thing and how it's impacting us? Or do you have a totally different thought? Share with us.
I did have a thought. It was something that you said that was so profound. And I said, oh my gosh, she's so true. You said something to the extent when you start to get older, you're more wise and mature, is like your senses get more heightened.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Even though I'm not as mature as you ladies are, but I can definitely see myself getting there because I see things from a totally different perspective. And I know you hit a lot on the head about parenting. So even when I started with my 18-year-old compared to my 5-year-old, it's like a different parenting style. Like
Absolutely.
I'm more in tune with
Absolutely.
my children. Versus 18 years ago, I didn't know nothing like that because I was still a baby myself. But I really appreciate you saying that because I really see the changes in my life and what I'm doing with my children and not trying to get them so confined into technology and still, be a part of their life and just do something outside of technology world.
Right, right. And I think, Kalima, the more we begin to realize as we age the power we have, I think the better off our families are and our relationships. Because I think women, to a large extent, we put up with a lot of stuff that we shouldn't have put up with when we were younger, but we didn't see that then. Now, as we age, the gift of aging comes with the power of wisdom. And so it's a good thing that you're seeing it and you're feeling it. And all I can say to you is, as you continue to age, it's going to get much better. And the perspective and the wisdom and all of that's going to come is going to help strengthen the foundation on which you are building your life and for your family now. So I applaud you for being able to see that at this point in your life.
Also,
Thank you. I appreciate it.
We need to have our kids come to the table maybe on a Sunday, put all their electronics away, just have conversation with each other. Like, what are they feeling? How was your day?
Right. Right.
Yeah, but they come up with monosyllabic responses.
Yeah.
Yeah. They, at this particular point,
at least we're talking
Yeah.
face to face.
Right, and sometimes I catch them in movement. I stop them in movement, blah, 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 and I'll say, what's going on here? What's the matter? You okay? We spend all day. My grandchildren will come down and say, you okay, Grandma? Yes, I'm okay. You need anything, Grandma? I don't need anything. Oh, I'll say to them, oh, I need you to do X, Y, Z, or, how are you feeling? I think we need to check in with how they're feeling and allow them to be okay with checking in with us, and that's what we do in my household, and I love that. Kalima, thank you so much for calling in and acknowledging that, and I as you continue to age and mature, it's going to be a fabulous process, and you're just going to embrace it and enjoy it. So thank you for calling in.
Thank you, Mama C. Y'all have a great day, ladies.
You too, sweetie pie. All right.
My grandmother
Bye.
used to say, life is not easy.
No,
Oh yeah, it is right. Hello, I saw a meme, and I've heard this a number of times. Is no one promised you easy, but it will get better. And it does get better because with the process of aging and the wisdom that comes with that, we're able to shift gears when we have to shift gears, switch lanes when we have to switch lane, do a lane switch. Yes, So
And that's only because of our experience to be able to know it's time now. It didn't work this way.
Right.
Let's try it another way. Maybe it'll work a little better, or at least it'll work a little differently.
Yeah. And I agree. One of the things that I am, again, I think I said this earlier, I'm big on is adding more life to your life. It doesn't hurt to do something different every now and then, because I really believe we're like explorers on this planet. Our job is to explore, experience, and expand before we exit.
Okay.
And if you don't explore, the options and the possibilities, and how do you expand? And if you're not expanding, what are you doing? You're going to exit sooner or later anyway, because that's the process of life.
Yep.
Exactly.
But how are you going to, when I leave, life ain't going, it already doesn't owe me anything. Because I've always believed that I had the choice, the power to create life the way that it works for me, not the way that it works for somebody else, but I've always been willing to try different things. Explore. Last Sunday, we weren't here. I was off doing a music video. And that was that was a new experience. Yes. And let me tell you, I don't have to have that experience again. It took me 2 days to recuperate. I loved the experience, but let me tell you, I think I'm still trying to recuperate from it. But it was so much fun. It was interesting
and
to watch.
Something.
And I learned some things from it,
exactly.
And I think that experience really helped me to understand this is not our world right now. The young people, they have a whole different perspective about life and how they do things and what works and what doesn't work.
It's the same thing when we were growing up. The people before us did things differently.
Absolutely,
and
absolutely.
We came along and did something different.
Absolutely, absolutely.
It's a cycle.
Let's take technology, for instance.
Oh, it's scary.
We've gone from regular radio and television to internet radio and the internet, Zoom, and all these other mediums of visually watching something. So things have just changed so drastically, and we have to accept that and adapt. Exactly. Yes. Accept and adapt. Exactly.
And this generation, like you said, with the internet, they're not speaking with people. The FaceTime, while it's fun, I love FaceTiming with my new grandson out in Los Angeles and, son and daughter-in-law. I still say, send me a picture.
Yeah,
I'd like something tangible.
You want something tangible. We like tangible.
But my mom lives in New York, and I FaceTime now.
Yeah.
It's not the same as going.
It's not the same.
No.
But it does allow you to have that level of communication with her.
It feeds your soul, right?
Yeah.
It does. It feeds the spirit and the soul.
Absolutely.
The next generation, it's like I said, I'm actually glad that I'm not going to be going into it. So I agree with your philosophy about that. Nobody looks forward to death, but I'm frightened to go into the next generation and see where all this technology is, because everyone is just sitting back and permitting the technology to do it
kind of
for
take over.
them.
Yeah, right. Kind of take over.
Right. So to have, like you said, those human, tangible relationships, how are you going to know who it is that you're in love with if you don't spend, physical time with someone? If you don't walk through the woods and you hear somebody sighing because something is so beautiful that you've seen, and to be able to share a non-technology communication.
Kind of relationship. Yeah, exactly. When you talk about death, I really believe that death is only the beginning of a new life. And that we continuously evolve, we continuously move on. And so I've already started creating my new life. I'm designing my new life, my next life.
Oh, I've had a plan for my next life my entire life.
Honest to God,
everybody who knows. In my next life, I'm having no children. I'm having 2 masseurs, Mario and Sven. And we're going to get the New York Times on Sunday mornings and some pencils, and we're going to do the crossword puzzles. We're going to put mustaches on all the brides that are this. I don't even know if they still put bride pictures in the New York Times. And Mario and Sven are going to make me cappuccino and anything else I want made.
Or done.
Or done, absolutely. Oh, yes, absolutely. And then, just to kick it up a notch, we're going to throw in their sister. I figured, why shouldn't I enjoy everything? And that's been my fantasy for my next life.
For your next life.
Always. My daughters, any of my girlfriends, anybody, and I'll share, not a problem.
Yeah.
Not a problem. I figured there's enough of Mario and Sven to go around all over.
Hello. Hello. Well, there are 2 definitive things I know I've designed for my next life. I want a Halle Berry body, and I want to be a celebrity chef. I love cooking. So I want to be a celebrity chef, and I want a Halle Berry body. I want a killer body, but I'm not going. You can look, but you can't touch. Okay, until the right person comes along.
I didn't get that far yet, like you two.
Oh, I have had this fantasy forever.
Hold on. Welcome. This is Mama C. Who's called? Oh, Jane. Hey, Jane.
Hey, oh my gosh, hi guys, how are you?
Hi, dear, we miss you.
We miss you. Sorry you couldn't make it with us today.
I'm so sorry,
You talk, I'll eat.
Crazy. It's been a crazy, crazy weekend.
Wow.
Sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
What did you want to share? I know you had sent me a message.
Yeah.
What do you want to share?
Yeah, but I mean, you're not. I hear you talking about death. Is this still appropriate to?
Yes,
Yes,
actually,
yes. We'll go back to
it was fantasies.
Yeah, we just had a few moments of fantasizing. So back to the real world.
I gotcha. I love fantasizing. Yes, I love it. Actually, through talking to people and the work I do, the younger folks during the pandemic, and we're still in a pandemic. Although you go down this Main Street in Stroudsburg, you'd never even know it.
I know.
Well, yeah.
Nonetheless, I noticed some of their concerns is that their ambition to move forward is kind of, gone to the wayside, I think.
Wow.
And I asked 2 in particular, 2 young people about it. And the one young man said, well, I wear a shirt and tie for my waist up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting at my kitchen table with my pajama bottoms on and my slippers. I'm not in the office. I'm not socializing with coworkers, other than once or twice a week on Zoom. And he said, I find my ambition to further my career
is dwindling.
It's stuck. Yeah, it's not going anywhere.
Wow.
And I thought that was interesting and scary at the same time in regard to what, younger people. I mean, I'm retired, so, my ambition is just to be able to get my ass out of bed in the morning and get to the bathroom on time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, if you think about that, when we were
motivation.
that age, our ambition was great. We had a plan, most of us, and, we were going to get our degree or we were going to, get that promotion. And, what I heard from these 2 young people is that, where do I go from here? What if this becomes the normal. Working from home 4 days a week and only being in the office 1 day a week and so on. And I just thought that was
scary.
Interesting.
Yeah.
To hear that ambition has been, kind of stifled through this pandemic.
This whole pandemic, it is completely obliterated motivation, like you said.
You're right.
Like you said, people who are working from home, they either like it or they hate it.
Just about everybody I've talked to hate it because now they have extended some people home till April.
Wow.
Yes.
I mean,
I heard that.
While you might be saving some money on wardrobe attire and on dry cleaning and on laundry and car and gas and this and the other thing, you're right. Ambition and motivation is what's being diminished.
significantly.
Yeah.
Right, and then
I mean, at what cost emotionally? You know, is this going to affect even, you know, their own children, watching them sit at home on a kitchen table on a computer? You know, my younger grandchildren, you know, kind of, well, Daddy's home every day. You know, and my daughter-in-law tried to set him up in a office, but then, you know, he walks around the house on his headset. And she's like, I wish he'd just go in the office so I can get laundry done, or, you know, because now we all have to be quiet, and you know, so it's challenging.
Yeah, it
Very
is.
challenging for them. Yeah.
I agree.
I just thought, you know, their ambition for their careers has really stopped.
and one would think with the dramatic way that this was imposed on all of us,
Yeah.
I think that's the same way it's going to be imposed again, that okay, now everything goes back to whatever the new normal is going to be. I don't think there's going to be a glide into, okay, now come back in the office 1 day a week, now 2 days a week. Schools, they're going to open up all of a sudden for the full 5 days a week. There is a school actually here in our county that's been back 5 days a week all these weeks since schools.
Yeah, in Stroudsburg.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a parochial school. They've had no issues at all.
Wow.
And
they
they
said nothing. Yeah, all the teachers, all the kids.
right, and
5
they
days a week.
right, and they pull from all of the different districts here in our county, so their norm is in fact normal. So so those people have, like you said, the ambition, the motivation. The teachers are working to be able to make it so that the students are in a good environment academically, emotionally, spiritually. And you're right, the rest of us are kind of behind the 8 ball with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And in your
And
industry,
so, in your opinion, so how do you think we can, you know, try to help these young people to, you know, and we do talk about this new normal, but, you know, what can we do at our ages to help, you know, them see a brighter future, to see that, you know, things are going to get better? How do we do that as mentors, I guess?
things are going to get better. Things are going to be different. That's for sure. So it's a matter of judging whether or not it's better or betterer, you know, or bestest, you know, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't think you can put on this generation coming, you know, our ideology that this is now better than it was 8 months ago, because children or teenagers or young adults tend to forget what was. And it's a good thing to look forward, without a question. It's always a good thing to look forward. But if you don't remember what was, you know, can this happen again? You know, in Holocaust studies and in teaching Holocaust and things like that, the standard thought process is never forget.
Exactly. Never forget.
Never
but move
for-
on.
Never
Nor
forget.
should we. Right?
No,
Nor should
absolutely.
we.
Yes.
Absolutely. And I think the same applies when you talk about Black history in this country.
Same thing. Never forget.
Some people want you to move on.
What they want is for you to forget. They want you
and
to
move
forget.
on. Forget and move on.
But I always say to forget is to set ourselves up
yes.
to repeat
Repeat it.
the
Absolutely.
same behavior.
Absolutely.
And I think in some respect, there is a part of the Holocaust that's being repeated here in this country that could lead to a bad situation for us all. Thank God we're close to the election day on November 3rd, and hopefully we will all make the right choice that will help bring our country back together again. But who knows? We don't know right now, because let's face it, the charisma of Hitler sucked in a lot of people.
Absolutely.
So now you got the
Absolutely.
charisma, and I don't see the charisma, but you have the charisma of the current president that's drawing people into a lot of negativity that mirrors that of the Holocaust.
Absolutely.
Right,
And so
because you lead, his, I believe his mantra is divide and conquer, and then to lead in fear.
Yeah.
If you've ever studied any kind of religion, I mean, the emperors made everyone be uneducated and fearful.
Right.
So he was able to lead them any way he wanted.
Absolutely.
Fear is
Absolutely.
a big component of that ideology for sure.
Absolutely, Jane, and that's what's happening. People are their education is being negatively impacted in this country now, and their fear is being heightened. That's not a good formula for life or for the wellness of our country.
I watch some of these peaceful listen, I've been protesting since the 60s, civil rights, women's rights.
I remember the
burned my
60s.
bra. My father was going to kill me, but I did it anyway.
I walked many a mile.
Back then, bras were expensive. Anyway, I watch it and I see it. I feel it's different than it was in the 60s because I see so many different cultures marching side by side for the same purpose. And that's the hope I'm holding on to.
Yeah.
That's the part of this that this clown in D.C. thinks he's demolishing when in fact I truly believe there's a good portion of us that have united in a way we've never done before.
Yes. And thank God.
And I see all kinds of cultures, all colors,
and
all
young
walks of
people,
life, all religions, walking shoulder
Same
to
thing
shoulder
yesterday with the
to
Women's
show
March in Washington.
United. We are united.
Absolutely, and I think that that's what's going to get us over the hump of sorts. Is that we recognize that life is not about color or culture. It's about
humanity.
consciousness and uniting with one another for the greater good of one another, each other.
Of humanity.
Of humanity as a whole, exactly. I think that that's what... Go ahead, Jane.
No, go ahead. It's okay.
I think that that's what's missing. Humanity. A sense of humanity has plummeted to an all-time low.
Well, the financial situations that all of us are finding ourselves in are almost breeding a selfishness. When you do food drives that you're involved in, and people are less willing. It's not that they're unwilling, but they're less willing to give up something that they have because they may need it in the future and in the near future. So we're all walking around frightened and being frightened for what may not be available tomorrow.
Right.
I mean, it sounded silly all those months ago, the toilet paper shortage.
That was...
I was just thinking that. Yes.
But, and people who found toilet paper, they bought, 4 or 5 packages full well knowing that there was someone standing behind them that didn't get any.
Exactly.
And that's not what humanity is supposed to be. And that's not what we're supposed to be teaching the next generation.
Absolutely.
And that's where the problem is. So you're right, the bonding together like we did in the 60s has almost come full circle.
Yeah.
And now there's more diversity to be able to bring together. And hopefully that's what we've seen, that's what we've done, that's what the young people are doing now, and maybe that's what this young generation will be able to teach the next generation as well. And that's where
and I think there's always going to be a battle of some sort in each generation.
Oh yeah,
I truly do. I don't think you can evolve as a human if there wasn't some type of hurdle or, like I said, battle that we need to help each other through. I just find in all the years I've been alive, I don't think I've ever seen this type of cultural differences, if you will, or even, a leader portraying this kind of hate. And that's exactly how I see it. It's hate.
It is. That's exactly what it is.
This is worse.
Yeah.
Like you said, the divide and conquer is that if there's no unity, then nobody knows they're being supported. And women in the world are the primary supporters of other women. And I think you know, just like Mama C said, you know, and all of us have said, it is in fact women that are binding and bonding humanity
Yes.
together
Absolutely.
worldwide.
Yeah, absolutely. But aren't we always the stronger? And I love men, okay? But I think, you know, look at our history. We bear children. We always are usually the cornerstone of the family, you know, the heartbeat of a family. We're the ones who do the cooking, the cleaning, the running, the raising, the nurturing, you know, and it's not just our children. We take care of our parents. We take care of our husbands,
Right,
our
right,
partners,
right.
and significant others, and our pets. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I jokingly, I have pets, and I jokingly will say, you know, sometimes I like them better than my kids. But, you know,
And I love my Mia.
Yes, you do.
yeah. But you know, it is. You know,
Rick asked me this morning,
I feel by
down
doing
there? I
these
said, nope.
types of shows, by, you know, walking hand in hand, we project that positive energy out there. We show that you can overcome a lot of these dysfunctions that this guy keeps throwing out there.
Right.
Now, his base, he's always going to have a base. You know,
Oh, yeah.
Hitler had a base.
Absolutely.
Reagan had a base.
Yeah.
You know, the one in Cuba.
All dictators had a base.
Castro.
Yeah, they all had a base.
Mhm.
You know, you're never going to get rid of that, but you can always outnumber them.
But
You know,
look
if
at
we outnumber them and put the positive energy out there and teach our children, our grandchildren, and you know that there's a better way to go about this. I think that's where the hope is.
That was the essence of Crosby, Stills, and Nash. Teach our children well.
Absolutely.
But look at the countries that have COVID going on, the different countries. All the countries run by men have COVID rampant.
Yep.
The two countries
I
that
just
don't
looked
have
at
it,
that.
the two
Yep.
countries
Germany.
that don't have it,
Are run by
run
women.
by women.
Yeah, Germany, yeah.
Yeah.
And the one
No, not Germany,
the one prime
Australia,
minister,
and I think
excuse
New
me,
Zealand.
I cannot remember her name, but the one prime minister, her country has the lowest cases.
New Zealand and Australia.
Yes, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so you look at that and you go, hey guys, you can learn something from us, but you know, they don't.
They don't.
You know, nor will they ever. So it's up to us to teach our daughters, our granddaughters, you know, give them the power that you have the capability of changing
The world.
You know?
Exactly. Absolutely.
And you're right. We cannot, as women, we've got to own up to each other. We cannot tear each other down.
Absolutely.
We just can't do it.
Absolutely.
Because men do it as it is. Society does it to us as it is. It's up to us to say no. We're going to back her. I may not agree with her, but I'm going to, you know, I'm going to do the best I can to be supportive.
Unity.
Right.
Unity.
Unity. Exactly. Exactly. Jane, thank you for calling in. We pretty much come to the.
Sorry again. I so apologize, and I could smell the good food
Oh,
that y'all are eating.
girl, I've been eating through the whole show.
Are things calmer where you are?
I'm sorry?
Are things calmer where you are?
Yes, yeah.
Good.
I mean, I'm on till 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, so I'm hoping we have a
calm rest of tonight and into tomorrow morning.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Jane, for calling in.
Thank you, ladies.
And you.
We miss you.
See y'all face to face, but you know, I hope, you know, as always, you guys are always supportive and uplifting, and I always look forward to hearing your voices.
Oh, same here, Jane. We love you dearly.
I love you all too.
Okay. All right. Well, we're gonna, since you couldn't be here this time, we'll have to do something. We'll have to plan something special for us.
Yes, definitely. We got to do something.
All right. If it ain't nothing but the girls getting together for some ice cream.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Have a good rest of the show.
All right. We're getting ready to conclude in a few minutes, but thank you for calling in. All right. Bye.
Did
Wow.
you see that article? The boyfriend killed the girlfriend's 80-year-old daughter.
There's just so much craziness like that going on right now that is unbelievable,
Why
Hillary.
would you leave your kid with your boyfriend?
That's a good question. But you know what? People have relationships based on illusions. They're not thinking logically, so therefore you can't manifest rational outcomes if you're thinking illogical. So, I mean, it is what it is. We've got a lot of stories like that going on right now. Every time I open my internet page, you see all of these different stories of people, of women and men killing each other and the craziness. So, you know, on that note, that's for another show. So,
Yes.
on that note, I want to thank all of you for tuning in, listening in, and calling in. And let's just keep this kind of dialogue going and growing so that we can all find our way closer to one another, so that as this whole pandemic continues on, at least we can come out of it sane, or as sane as possible.
And spiritually and emotionally supportive and possibly even uplifted.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
second that.
All right. So on that note, we reached our 3:30 time. Everyone have a great rest of the Sunday. I'm going to finish eating here because it's delicious. I want to thank my daughter who cooked this delicious food for us and prepared all of this.
And set up a party.
And set up a party, yeah, a Queenager party. So have a great rest of today, and we'll be right back here next Sunday.
Okay, we out.
Yep, we gone.